Alan and I are both kind of out of it.
I know.
We're both kind of out of it. So, because he
Yeah.
was up late.
Yeah, watching this movie.
Yeah. Okay. So, Alan, you were up late with The
Yeah.
Godfather. I've seen that movie countless times. I saw it when I went to film school. They screened it there. So I've seen it in the theater. I've, of course, owned many incarnations of it. I even had like they have this box set. Wait, we have this box set that was the complete Godfather. What they did is Francis Ford Coppola actually re-edited The Godfather in chronological order, the story. And
Oh,
it was
he did that. I thought someone else did that. I didn't realize.
Yeah, no, it's weird,
Yeah.
but it was made for television. For TV, they were like, it's too confusing. Just edit it so it's chronological. So he took Godfather 2, the original Godfather, and then just edited them as one chronological story. And it came out as a VHS box set that I have. I mean, it's an interesting experiment, but you actually went to see The Godfather in a theater. It's the 50th anniversary edition.
Yeah. And then also there's a version now that you don't have yet, and it's the 4K UHD version. And that's essentially what the screening was. It's a fully restored version of the film. So and I would say they more or less cleaned it up than restored it. I think the prints are still pretty good. They just got rid of scratches, dust. They had I think when watching it, if you want to talk about the restoration, watching in the darkness, the opening scenes looks a little weird. I don't think they could I can get technical here, but when you're shooting that dark on film, it's very grainy, and it's kind of like, well, what do you do in the restoration? Do you kind of solve the graininess, or do you kind of keep it there? And so it opens a little clunky, but once you get into the movie, the images look great. They're still, soft on the edges because it is film. It's not crisp digital at all. But I mean, what can you say about The Godfather? I mean, it sets the standard for mob movies. Every mob movie now lives up to falls under that shadow of The Godfather. And 3 hours long. It's based on a book, and it feels like a book. By the time you're at the end, you forgot that, Michael was at one point in Italy and had a wife, and it's like, what can you say about The Godfather? I think it's just a joy to watch on the screen. And then I'll just say that, the movie is so great that, you could just, if it shows up on TV, I'm just going to sit down and watch it no matter where it starts.
Yeah. No, I'm with you right there. Having seen it so many times, and it's also almost a movie that is fun to watch with family, because you're looking at all the sort of moral choices and the journey that Michael goes through. I think is amazing. He comes, he doesn't want anything to do with the family mob business. He's a war hero, right? Come back from the war, and he kind of wants to keep his distance, but once his family is put at risk, his father, there's an attempted assassination on his father, then there's that turn, right? Yeah. That change where he ends up, he sort of, ends up being groomed into this leadership role. And you see that in him. And one of my favorite parts of The Godfather, absolute favorite scenes, is when he's in the restaurant, right? And with, what's his name? Salieri. And no, not Salieri.
That's Amadeus.
That's right.
I want to say it's not Terrazzo.
I haven't had enough coffee.
Oh, Salazzo. No, it's not Salazzo. Is it Salazzo? Yeah. And then
you just saw the movie last night. You should know.
I know.
Anyways, he's in there with the mob boss that put the hit on his dad, and he's in there with the corrupt cop, right? And there's this moment where he goes into the bathroom and he gets the gun that's been hidden for him, and he comes back to the table, and they don't cut to anyone else. It's just on Michael the whole time, right? Al Pacino. And you see him, and this is a thing they don't do in a lot of modern movies, showing characters thinking.
Yeah.
Two moments I can tell you that everybody has seen that will, if you notice it, you'll notice that they don't do these kinds of things in modern films, is a character thinking, right? And pondering their life and their future. Luke Skywalker looking at the twin sons of Tatooine, pondering, what his life might be if he would get off this farm, right? and Michael Corleone sitting at the table with the corrupt cop and the mafia boss who tried to put a hit on his dad, thinking about he's about to commit murder, which, you know, look, they're a religious family, right? You know, in the 10 Commandments, thou shalt not kill. He's sitting, you see, and it holds for a really long time on Michael's face, where you see him going through, thinking through. He's not even listening to the conversation at the dinner table. He's thinking about how this will change things for him. And then boom, it's like this. He just gets up, shoots. It's incredibly shocking. The death is just like, it's based on a lot of like photos of real mob assassins. Like that particular scene was based on that, like how it ended up with the table flipped over and everything, and like the food everywhere, and it's bloody.
Yeah. And then the wonderment he has trying to remember what he needs to do to get out.
Right.
He's just kind of standing there and spinning a bit. And then at one point you realize, drop the gun. And then
he almost forgot to do it. And then he walks out. Right. And then of course he's whisked off to Italy, you know, to be in hiding. Right. So that revenge couldn't be taken on him. That scene is, to me, like, that's the thing that like sells you, I think, on The Godfather. It's that moment. And even that moment with Luke Skywalker looking at the twin sons of Tatooine, when we finally get to Luke's story, right? And you see him pondering his future. I think, you know, I grew up in the Midwest, and I remember having moments like that, feelings like, oh, am I going to be in this small town, you know, forever? Am I going to be in Royal Oak, Michigan? You know, is that my life? You know, am I going to still be here in 20, 30 years? I mean, I do like to go back and visit, but no.
That's how I felt standing in LA. Will I ever go to a big city or a bigger city?
Yeah, well, LA is a pretty big city, but I mean, I'm glad it's getting this release, and I'm going to guess it might actually even look better on your 4K TV than in the theater.
Yeah.
In 4K, so. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I think so. I mean, it was great. I loved watching it. You know, it's like they cleaned it up, and I'm like, well, I don't exactly remember what parts needed to be cleaning. But I will say, just to back up what you said, to me, The Godfather is like a masterclass in character development.
Yeah.
Every single character, this cast is huge, and yet every single character is so distinct from every other character. You know, even the henchmen are different than the others. And you know, this is something I would say to indie filmmakers, but you know, you've really got to, you know, work on your characters and give them something distinct other than a look, a gender, a race, or an accent.
Yeah, I mean, you really hit the nail on the head. It's character development is what makes it so, and the characters are so lovable, even the ones that do bad things. I mean, that's sort of like,
Mo Green. I love Mo Green.
Oh, Mo Green is one of my favorites. I mean, he's such an asshole, but also he's right. You know?
Yeah, they all have reasons for what they did. And even though Don Corleone or Michael wanted them to do something, they had valid reasons for not doing it. Movies,